Dun, dun, now we've got to get it right. We've got to, oh shit, the button started.
Oh dear, the button started.
Hello. I'm Ray Fawkes, the author of Gotham by Midnight and Constantine at DC Comics, and One Soul, Possessions, Underwinter, Intersect, and many, many more books at many places, and you're on Splash Pages.
Is the one obvious thing.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. You are watching Splash Pages. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an awesome show scheduled for you as always. And so much awesome that, just, dorked out with our awesome guests long before the show. So we almost forgot to hit record. So before further ado, here we go. Carrie.
Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another great episode of Splash Pages. I'm having a little problems lagging, so forgive me if I'm off and on. We've got a great guest for you tonight, and Drew will tell you more, but I read a lot of the independent stuff that we have going on here, and it's somebody definitely, if you follow my taste, you're going to love this guest.
Jar Jar. Oh, you're muted, Jar Jar.
Son of a... hey, it's Tuesday night, Splash Pages. We got a great show ahead of us. And Drew, why don't you introduce our guests so we can get on with the show?
All right, I can do that. I'm sorry, I just got off the midnight shift, and my God, I've seen things, man. I've seen some things. I've seen where the Underwinter intersects with One Soul, where the people inside hit up the Spectral Engine, possessions. And there's something at the Junction True. It's Batman Eternal. It's a true story. Yes, everybody. That just came off the top of my head, but I'm so sad I didn't finish it, because there's a lot more that our guest did. And I'm fairly certain he probably rolled his eyes and guffawed at that. We have a great writer, artist, creator here. As Carrie said, he's done quite a lot, both for DC, some stuff for Marvel, some stuff for other people as well, but a lot, just a lot. He's a great person, really personable, and really glad to be here. Everyone, the one and only Ray Fawkes.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Woo. One day we're going to get applause.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I got a button here, but it's hard to reach. Let's see. Is this it? Nope.
No.
That's not it.
No. Leo,
Oh, there it is.
You are embarrassing us in front of our guest, the person who took time out of his schedule to come here and goof off with us and talk about his work. God,
Drew,
That
you
was-
should
It's
get
very
right
serious
into
business.
continue with the Batman Eternal conversation, because you guys were hitting on some things that I wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, sure.
yeah. But I guess I'll start kind of repeating ourselves because we did kind of start the interview when the button wasn't pushed. So like I was saying, Ray, like I said, I met you before, where you at one of, I think it was at Comic-Con or something, where you signed a nice chunk of my Batman Eternal, which is the first time I was introduced to your work. Which was a great book. I mean, you had Scott Snyder, James Tynion, John Layman, who we had on the show previously for a bit. You had Kyle Higgins, a smattering of other artists, and for 52 issues, you guys just killed it telling a great New 52 story. How do you coordinate something like that? Being part of a brain tank, like is there like a big washboard that just had scribbles and different handwriting?
Yeah, I mean, there kind of was. I mean, so James and Scott kind of ran the show. They had put out together like a sort of skeletal outline of the whole thing together. They were the kind of the Batman masterminds, and the rest of us, we would all like sit together. We had these 2 or 3 really big meetings, I think 3, where we all sat together and went point by point through all the things we wanted to have happen and make sure all the pieces meshed. And we each kind of had our own sort of territory. Like I was the Arkham Asylum and mystical guy, right? But everybody had a sort of a chunk of the Batman mythos or the Gotham mythos, and we all had to sort of bring it to the table and make sure it was getting woven in and making sure everybody was handling what they wanted to handle and also keeping the story going on track.
So your story, which dealt with the spoilers for anyone who hasn't read it, I mean, it's been out since 2011, 2013. So if you haven't read it, you'll get over this. So your arc kind of dealt with the collapse of Arkham Asylum.
Yes.
There was like weird shit going on in the sewers. That's where we kind of saw Jim Corrigan. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you touch on that in Gotham by Midnight.
Yes, it is mentioned because Gotham by Midnight kind of technically spun out of Batman Eternal.
Right.
Okay. I was wondering how that got pitched in Gotham by Midnight.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the time, DC was doing this kind of big push to try a bunch of genres to like really see, if people wanted them. And Dan DiDio at the time sort of came to me when Batman Eternal ended, said that he thought we had a hook into a cool horror book with the Arkham stuff in Batman Eternal, and he asked me if I wanted to pick up the thread of Jim Corrigan and the Spectre working in Gotham City. And I said, yeah, can I do it as a serious horror book? Can I do it as like something really weird and dark about Gotham and weird and dark in a way that even Batman would say, no, like someone else has to do this.
Yeah, this isn't my job.
Yeah. And so together we kind of banged out the idea of the kind of cases that would come up that Batman would not want to deal with. And that Commissioner Gordon, knowing that, would have this task force that included Jim Corrigan that he could sort of hand things off to and quietly let them handle it.
Right.
So I thought it was a really fun idea. I thought it was really like, and Dan was really behind it. He was really like, yeah, make this a horror book, make this something that the horror audience wants. And I proposed that we bring Ben Templesmith in on it. He went for that, and I thought it turned out to be a great book.
Cool. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, especially, when you think Ben, you think his collaboration with Steve Niles and 30 Days of Night and other things that he worked on. Yeah. But yeah, it did add a nice peculiarity to the book that definitely brought out, the ominous tones you were doing. And even like you said, Juan Ferreira, who came on after Ben, he still had that same like just way about it.
Yeah, it wasn't a shocking change when the artists were changed. It was just like, oh, something's a little different here, but like it's still basically the same background and everything like that.
Yeah, and they both brought this really great like weirdo energy to the book, which I thought was it perfectly served the idea that there are things that crop up in Gotham that are so bizarre that would freak out, even the superhuman community, but not somebody like the Spectre. I mean, the Spectre is made for this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And then it's funny because what that kind of also made me think of was there was an arc Garth Ennis did in his with John McCrea in his Etrigan run, where they touch on like Gotham, like that cities have like demons, and Gotham had like a demon, and it was kind of spawned from like the first crime in Gotham and such. And I was like, wow, that's fantastic, because you did that and you looped in all of these like the unavenged of Gotham. And again, you don't really think about it because you think like, wow, Gotham's a shitty place, no wonder there's Batman. But that was fantastic. There was one question I had, is the doctor, I think Dr. Yeah, the goggles, is that, because I'm a Ghostbusters fan, and the whole time he's wearing them, I was like, is this like it felt like a sort of like a kind of nod to like those ecto goggles they wear in the movie?
Oh, it was 100%. It was 100%. Like Dr. Tar is like he's like a science ghost hunter, so I had to do some kind of nod to the Ghostbusters in there.
Fantastic, because I was like, he's kind of he's giving me a little Egon energy there.
Yeah, very much so.
I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I thought it would be a little too subtle to have like mold, spores, and funguses on his shelf. So
maybe a little, but us Ghostbuster fans would have been like, see what he did there. Clever. Clever, Ray. Okay, yeah, that was that for it. And then of course the annual was great. Them investigating Jim Craddock, who's known as a Gentleman Ghost, who's very often I believe a Hawkman villain.
Yes.
But the elaboration there, I was like, wow, I feel bad for this guy. He's an awful person.
Yeah, but isn't he great though?
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow, okay. I was like, well done, Ray. Like, damn. Like, don't go to hell. Like, damn. All right, I'm good, guys. You guys can talk now.
I was going to say, I love the way that you introduced the whole story by having the internal affairs investigation going on. So it really gave them a chance to kind of display what they were doing to somebody from the outside so that they wouldn't get shut down. That was just a brilliant way to approach it, to open it up.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I always, that was something that was in the initial pitch document, was that I said that they were like perpetually being investigated, and that Commissioner Gordon was going to have to protect them, because obviously what they're doing is extremely dodgy. They have no real arrest record, and they don't use any proper procedure, because once the Spectre comes into play, it's all supernatural and gut instinct, and eventually most of the criminals suffer some kind of horrible fate.
Oh yeah. It still killed me how the guy would be like, he saw everything and he's still like, we might need to shut him down anyway.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who's going to take over, you?
Well, I mean, this is the thing that I always liked about it is these are not maybe great people to handle the problem, but someone has to handle the problem. And when you've got a city like Gotham City, which is there's so much darkness in it. If you're operating on any of the sort of semi-solid rules of magic in any one of these sort of, in the DC universe or whatever, it's got to be like jam-packed full of ghosts and other similar troubles, psychic troubles, because of all the suffering that goes on in that city all the time. I think we mentioned in Gotham by Midnight at one point that Gotham City is like a crucible that people either get completely consumed by, or they survive it. And that was actually one of the things we had on the whiteboard during the Batman Eternal writing sessions, was that Gotham City is like a big crucible that fires people, and they either come through it stronger and as survivors, or they get completely destroyed by it. They turn into a villain, or they get destroyed by a villain.
Yeah, fairly accurate.
There was one. I'm probably reading way too deep into this.
Go for it, yeah.
Hit me with this.
Okay, one of the Spectres mentioned Gotham is. They were trying to decipher what they were saying, and it said Gotham is. Is that a reference to the Gotham is storyline, or am I reading way? And I can't remember what that storyline's about. It's been.
I'm going to chalk that up to some kind of cool coincidence, because I wasn't aware of the Gotham is storyline at the time.
Okay, it's been a while since I read it, so I can't remember what it was about, but I remember, that was the common theme, like Gotham is,
Yeah.
So
how did you go about creating the team for Gotham by Midnight, like beyond Corrigan and stuff?
Well, I mean, logically, Corrigan needed a partner he could talk to and sort of bounce off of, and that Lisa Drake was great for that, and I also wanted to create somebody who could kind of sense when trouble was brewing. So she was great for that. She could, ideally he would want somebody like that nearby, so that when things are about to go south, they'll know before he has to tell anyone. And then the rest of the team, really, they were pretty logical for me. Like, they needed to have some kind of forensic scientist, and they needed to have some kind of expert on hauntings, which is Sister Justine, and they needed to have a boss, I thought about other potential characters, but I wanted to keep the cast as small as possible. Though the other consideration was, obviously one of the influences on this book, I was a great big fan of Gotham Central. So I definitely needed some actual, besides the superpowered people, I needed some actual police for them to work with, who say things like, okay, like, I know you sense the truth and you have to, invoke divine justice, but we also need a trail of clues, and we need paperwork.
Right.
Or else we get internal investigations or internal affairs, and they had that problem anyway. Yeah,
of course. I unfortunately, like I said, the book came to a close around issue 12. But did you script further?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's funny because I've read your Justice League Dark run, and I like, having never read this up until before you came on, and I was just like, man, I just kind of imagine Deadman just popping up randomly, just to kind of fuck with the thing, because that just feels like the kind of thing Boston Brand would just pop in for a story arc and be like, hey, I'm bored, do you need help?
You didn't actually read my outline, though, did you?
No.
Yeah, because Deadman was in it, and also there was going to be, we dropped a couple of lines about what Lisa Drake actually was, that she's not actually human. She thinks she is, but she's some kind of changeling. So there was going to be a story there. I had outlined a story about the access between Gotham City and the fairy land.
Nice.
And how some of their stuff, they are always messing with people, and it's kind of under the radar. So some of that was going to come into play.
Nice. Kind of has a Hellboy and the Golden Army kind of feel, like the world.
Little bit, or like a little bit of like the Books of Magic kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And also, we had a thread to run with involving Justine being this spirit of forgiveness. That was kind of a similar thing to the Spectre, except a very different approach. And there was some, we were going to have her anchored to Dr. Tar the way the Spectre is anchored to Jim Corrigan. So there was going to be a lot of drama around that.
Nice. Carrie, I saw your reactions when you brought up the Book of Magic, because you're a big fan there. So I'm going to let you take that one.
Oh, I just that choosing that as one of the sources for the magic that you're basing things off of, that's brilliant.
It's got to be. It's like this very, very much defined magic for the DC universe, right?
Right.
And
And
I always had it at hand when I was working on Constantine and Justice League Dark, and then Gotham by Midnight too.
you've just had some great runs with dark and magic. So I wish I could have seen something with the Fey Realm. That would have been amazing.
It would have been fun. Maybe another time. You never say never.
They
It's
can
true.
reboot it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
have the pages.
it's almost time to reboot again over at DC, right?
Yeah, I think it's been like what, 1 to 2 years. We haven't had a colossal mega event to threaten the cosmos. So yeah, right.
Let's not. They're just now getting Batman back to normal. I don't.
You gotta listen.
I do know that the sort of the Corrigan's revelation that he had more control over the Spectre than he thought was pretty controversial with some of the fans. A lot of the fans who were remembering, the Ostrander run and everything really loved the idea of him as just an angelic kind of force. I'm not sure if DC would want to continue along those lines, but I definitely have a story about Gotham City and the realm of fairy for them.
Yeah. Well, that's always the thing that happens with comics. People complain about, doing the same story, but then when you try to do something different, you try to push it, then, how could you change this? This is, I'm like, okay, you know what? You write it.
There's kind of it's true. And I think there's kind of a shelf life on the shock factor of something like that. I think after a few years, people come back to it and they're kinder to it. But sometimes, like right at the moment, they're reading it and they're like, "This is not my Spectre,"
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, what was it? I was reading an interview that the great Mark Waid was talking about, and he was talking about how his books are a lot of his work that people consider amazing, like his Flash run and things like that. They weren't very popular when they came out. They were just kind of a mid-sell. Yeah. But now they're still running, and a lot of books that were big at that time that were selling a lot, nobody talks about. They're kind of bargain bin stuff. So sometimes like your stuff, like the weird stories, they find their audience later on, and they kind of get that second life, that second wind.
Yeah, just some things hit well, and some things take a while, right?
Yeah.
And so that was one of those things. Like it actually. The reaction was mostly pretty good, but people were very polarized on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, I was not. That wasn't new to me. I was the person who took over Constantine when they shifted it from Vertigo to the DC universe, and I knew there was a lot of unhappy fans, knowing that he was going to go back into the superhero universe, So, but these kind of things, like, again, like at first people weren't happy, and then after about a year or so, we seemed to have earned some goodwill, and then people started to really enjoy the book, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So,
and if you have the Spectre not suddenly, but gradually after time being anchored to this person for so long, they're going to bleed into each other. It can't just constantly be this force that is only brought about from the power. It makes sense to me anyway that it would start pulling upon his feelings and what he wants from it.
I mean, the earlier stories always made a point of saying that Jim Corrigan had to be the Spectre's conscience, right? Which to me implies that he had to exert some kind of subconscious control.
Right. Yeah.
Like whether he knew it or not. And I mean, to me, there was also always the overriding question, which is the question the police officers asked Jim Corrigan, which is, why doesn't the Spectre just go clean out Blackgate and Arkham? Why is he handling like a kidnapper here and some drug dealers there and a demonic possession here? Why is he not cleaning up the whole city and turning it into a paradise, right?
Yeah, why is he letting Joker walk around?
Yeah.
It was like, again, you asked a lot of big questions, and I think it's funny because I feel like sometimes nerd audiences, they say they want those big questions in it, but then they just don't really. It's kind of like it's like watching a magic trick. You admire the trick and everything, and you want to know, but when you learn how the trick is done, you know, but you lost that awe, that belief in the magic because you know how it's performed. So the only thing.
Yeah, and really the motive behind it for me was that I didn't want Jim Corrigan to be such a passive figure. That he's kind of like in many stories, he's kind of like the guy who's just there until the Spectre shows up. Right? He chases down the clues or whatever, and then the Spectre handles the problem. I wanted him to have some kind of like personal stake in what the Spectre was doing, and not just like, I want justice. It had to also be like, he had to have something to fret about. Like, am I doing the right thing? Am I the one causing all this mayhem? You know, I loved the idea of him as someone who, you know, like Bruce Banner, like, it's not me, it's the Hulk, right? Like when things go wrong, Corrigan over and over again in the book says, it wasn't me, right? It's the Spectre, the spirit in me. And to have someone at a point in the story say to him, but you do have a hand in it.
Right.
You know, to me, I thought that completely, in sort of one move, makes Jim Corrigan a much more interesting character, because then from that moment, he has to make personal decisions about where he wants to be and whether or not he wants to have the Spectre have the chance to come out, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, it's definitely more nuanced.
Well, even protecting, you know, the Spectre from coming out. There was one spot in the story where they make reference to like the Spectre being like a nuke, you know, and him trying to keep it at bay. And then later on in the story, there was, you know, I forgot what was happening, but essentially, you know, he was warning, hey, it's, you know, I feel it coming out, you know, we got to do something right now.
Yeah. And there's a few times where his partner, Detective Drake, tries to restrain him, like tries to pull him out of a room or knock him down. And there's one story where Dr. Tar locks him out of a room because everyone's afraid of the Spectre, obviously. And to some extent, they're afraid of Jim Corrigan too, like, because he seems to be drawn into these situations that go, you know, buck wild.
Yeah. So
if he's going to kill all the sinners, Gotham is not the place to do that.
Yeah, it's a bad place for it.
No. So kind of another thing is that, you know, you've done work with DC. You did Wolverines with Marvel. You even did Black Hammer 45, working with Jeff Lemire for Dark Horse. So, you know, you've done those, and you've even did Jackpot for AfterShock. So, you know, you've played in different sandboxes. You know, like, did you have a favorite, or was it all just one great general experience? You know,
that's a tough one. I mean, I love a chance to tell a story, right? And sometimes I want to tell my own story completely. Sometimes there are characters, obviously, that I grew up loving, or characters that I think have a lot of potential. So I love the chance to tell a story. I mean, recently at Marvel, I co-wrote a book about Murder World with Jim Zub. And that was definitely like, you know, I don't do a lot of work at Marvel, but that was definitely a thing where they said, we would maybe want you to do this. And both me and Jim were like, I love Murder World. Like, yes, please. Right. So it's, you can't really pick a favorite. You can pick a favorite within a sandbox. Like, I can say, if I'm going to do something for DC, I want to do something with the Spectre or Etrigan or John Constantine, you know, and if I'm going to do something at Marvel, I want to do something with Murder World or the Wolverines or Mystique or something, right? But overall, I can't really pick a favorite, because it's kind of like a path through different zones. The easy answer is my favorites are mostly my own pieces, because they're usually the most personal. The ones that I do, you know, at Image Comics or at Oni or some of the self-published stuff. But that's not always entirely true. Like in the moment to moment, there's definitely times where like writing Justice League Dark was such a blast that it's a lot of them are really great experiences. I definitely, like, I grew up as a DC kid,
Right.
and I was very much like, I loved the mystical characters growing up. So I'm always happy, that any time I've gotten a chance at DC to pick up one of the characters or one of the threads that I used to really love when I first was wanting to get into comics, so that's always a joy.
Oh, yeah.
With your self-published stuff, do you see yourself in any of your books, or are these just all fantasy made up people?
I would say that I think any author who says they aren't in their own books is not being entirely honest.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, there's some stuff that is very personal, and then there's other stuff that's more like a story I thought it would be cool to tell. But I try to put as much of myself into some aspect of the story as possible, even if it's something like not necessarily something that's about me internally, but it could be about something that I fear or something that I see in the world,
Do you see yourself more drawn towards the horror genre? Would you say you're more of a horror writer, artist?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe just because my thoughts and outlook tend to the morbid, but also because horror and sci-fi are two genres where you can almost completely get away with talking about the world in almost direct terms without necessarily being too on the nose. You know what I mean? So you can talk about something that you see in the world that you think is like wonderful or beautiful, or something that you think is sick. And you can do it in a way that's entertaining. So people, are picking up on it and saying, yes, there is a truth in here, but it's also fun. It's also cool to read it. So,
Right.
and horror definitely works that way for me. I speak the language of horror much better than something like sci-fi.
You mentioned picking up. Sorry, Gary. You mentioned picking up some of the threads you used to read as a kid. If you have a chance to do so, what is one of those that you would love to pick up again?
Oh, I've done most of them. I've done most of the ones that I loved. I mean, John Constantine was my white whale at DC.
That's cool.
But I love Etrigan. I put him a little bit in the Ragman book I did. I love Dr. Fate. I love a lot of the, sort of stranger, older magic characters like Sargon the Sorcerer and Zatara, So I've always, I mean, anyone who reads a lot of my DC stuff sees these characters get sort of snuck in at the edges whenever possible, and hence the Gentleman Ghost showing up in Gotham by Midnight.
Nice. Sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's absolutely fine. I was going to lead you off towards some of your more independent stuff. First off, I think I've noticed that most of what I have read has had kind of the watercolor, not quite realistic feel to it, but it's so abstract. And I think that flows very well with the way that you write. So that's just perfect. The artists, when you do your own or the artists that you've paired with, are just, it's gorgeous. But 11 years ago on an AMA on Reddit, you said that out of all of the characters you've written, your favorite was the Dutch pickpocket in One Soul. And that was something where I love that character as well. But I needed to know a little to live on and a little to dust away. Did you come up with that, or is that from something? It sounds like a rehearsed thing, or what does it mean?
I did. I came up with it, and it's just I mean, that thief's philosophy of life seems to be enjoy it while you've got it. He has a very tenuous grip on life, and he feels like he either should already be dead or he will be dead at any moment. And so he has almost the philosophy of like, you got enough to survive and you get a little bit more so you can have some fun. And that starts to become the kind of mantra of his entire life. Um, and it is reflected a little bit in some of the other characters, and it's mirrored actually. Or I could say the opposite in specifically the British punk, the girl. She never seems to remember to keep a little extra to enjoy, right?
Yeah. And that entire I've only read one Soul. I haven't read the two after it. Um, but it had a very, very T.S. Eliot feel to me
Mhm.
as I went through. I didn't read like each story on its own. I read it just as an ongoing thing, and the pacing and where you could go stuff. I could just see that being narrated beautifully. But since you said that 11 years ago was your favorite character that you've written, is he still your favorite character that you've written?
Oh, that's a really tough one because I've written a lot of characters now.
Yeah.
Um, he's definitely up there. He's definitely one of the ones I think he meant a lot to me. He was a character who he was very difficult at first because at first I wrote him as a very depressed character and a very dark one. And then I happened upon this sort of philosophy for him, and it completely changed him for me. And it was one of those experiences where you're writing something and it clicks and it makes the whole piece start to kind of open up. And like other characters, I do really love. You mentioned that you read Junction True, and
Mhm.
I do really love my investigator in Junction True, the girl who's interviewing everybody,
Oh, yeah.
whose name escapes me at the moment. Damn, it's been
I
a while.
I didn't write that one down either, but yeah.
Yeah, and here and there, I've had little, um, you really love certain characters as you work on them, and then they become sort of perpetual favorites of yours. Um, so that's a really really hard question to answer, but I stick with the Dutch thief from One Soul because he was so important to me at that moment writing that book, and that book became very important to me.
Speaking of Junction True, I want to jump into that because guys, it's this wonderful world where they have new mod, and it's all about extreme body modification, not just like piercings and tattoos and things. It's injections of organic matter and things that like you put tapeworms and stuff and just crazy things going on. And it's people rebelling against the system. And that again made me think like kind of almost T.S. Eliot's Hollow Man, where it's like, we're these screaming crazy people, but nobody's going to remember us because we fought against something that wasn't really, we were just shouting. We were full of emptiness, but trying to make something. But in Junction True, you had Pakuru. Is that how you pronounce that?
Hmm.
Okay, which is a very elite speak that they used. It reminded me of in A Clockwork Orange, the NADSAT
Hmm.
that they spoke. Was that a similar type of
It
thing?
was meant to have a similar vibe, and actually, just like NADSAT, a lot of it was drawn from Russian. Um, it was I just needed, Junction True is all about a subculture, and it's all about the sort of pattern of a subculture to become more and more shocking at first, and then sort of mellow out. And so, like any subculture, I just needed them to have their own slang. And I wanted to work up something that sounded like things a teenager might actually say. Um, and so I settled on this kind of twisted bits of Eastern European and Russian slang, and then realized that that was also kind of the basis for NADSAT, and that kind of made me laugh. Actually, I was like, oh, I settled on something that a better author already thought of, but I ended up just running with it.
You did great. I can read Clockwork Orange without having to use the dictionary. I could read yours. It took me, 2 or 3 instances, and it's like, got the word. Okay, I know what that is. I know what this is. It was very it was obviously something different, but it was something you could pick up on. So you nailed it that way.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and Junction True was it was the body horror piece I kind of always wanted to do, and it was just about people being extreme to try and demonstrate their importance or demonstrate their devotion to something in the absence of anything else that makes them feel accomplished, and I find that really fascinating, and I find it really horrifying, and it is a thing that I do see in some subcultures here and there. They sort of show up, and some people get really crazy about it, and then some people take that subculture in a calmer direction. Also, I think at the time when I was writing it, my children were very young, and I was trying to think. I hung out with punks and goths my whole teenage years, and it horrified my parents, but I know that it wouldn't do anything to me. So I was trying to think, is there something that teenagers could come up with that I would not be able to handle? That's how I came up with the new mod in Junction True, where they're like attaching parasites to their bodies and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, if that happened, I would not be able to be part of that.
No, I'm with you on that one. I'm like, if one of the kids come home and they got like a tapeworm hanging from their face, I'm going to be like, all right, I've seen it all. I'm done.
And that's what I needed for that story. I need like, what kind of culture or society could there be that would take the people who grew up with, in the 70s and 80s and 90s and still shock them to the point where they can't handle it. I predicted wrong. I mean, I'm kind of glad I did, but it seems like actually what's happening is much more about identity. That seems to be the thing that a lot of the old parents can't handle so well. It's less about, accoutrements and more about how people identify.
Yeah.
And
I had
the whole idea. Sorry.
Oh no! I was just gonna make a comment. I had a punk friend growing up in late 80s, early 90s, and there was this one video he had like on VHS, but of all these like extreme like body modifications and stuff like that. It was utterly, to me, a fairly normal person. It was pretty crazy, but it was funny where a couple of them ended up on X-Files, like the guy that's like tattooed his entire body, and
the Enigma.
Yep, pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I love the aspect also in Junction True of the very flawed the psychosado, or the just sadomasochistic relationship with him becoming her puppet, and she just doesn't give a shit. It was just a flashing moment kind of thing. And it's somebody's giving up their entire being and ability to live to somebody else who it's just a whim for them. And
yeah, horrible.
Yeah, it's so tragic to see that happen, and you're just like, are you stupid? Because I think all of us from the outside could see, like, this isn't going to last. But seeing all of the extremes that somebody will do, and I think it was just basically to build her up in her own mind, wasn't it? Just to be like, oh yeah, I'm so good, I can.
But I mean, some people go really far to prove their devotion to someone. Some people completely give themselves up to somebody that they shouldn't. And it is tragic to see it or to watch it happen. And that was, kind of part of the story I wanted to tell.
It must be really great to be able to bring your own ideas to fruition now. Like you started back when doing DIY comics, right, where you would photocopy and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
How did you make the leap from doing the DIY? Where did the change happen to where they were paying you to make comics?
Two kind of happened almost at the same time. I was doing a book for Oni Press that was actually an all ages book called Possessions, about some ghosts who were kept as a collection by a rich lady. It was a comedy book. And at around the same time that I was doing that book, I got asked to readapt one of my self-published books into a short mini for Vertigo at DC. It was a book called Nemivore, which was about a memory-eating monster. And so it was kind of, like it happened sort of organically that it just, I had been around putting out these self-published pieces, usually pretty short ones, but hand selling them and also going, at conventions, giving them to editors and publishers, and just had a couple of publishers come to me at roughly the same time and say, do you want to do something for us?
Nice. That's really great, man. Like how long did it take for that to be accomplished?
About 5 or 6 years.
Not bad.
Yeah, so it was about 5 or 6 years, give or take a year or two, of mostly like small zines, taking them to local shows most of the time and selling them for $1, $2. That's actually how I met Jeff Lemire. He was doing the same thing at the time.
Nice.
And we would always be across from each other or near each other at tables at small press shows, with our newest, photocopied ash cans.
Is there a way to get a hold of Mercy? Because I know you mentioned that, and I've looked all over and I could not find it anywhere.
I think I still have a couple copies somewhere. I can dig around.
Ooh, nice.
Email me and I'll send you one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You just made her day.
Yeah. I should be able to dig one up somewhere down there.
Oh yeah, if you can feed her comics and more reading material, like holy crap.
Yeah,
She's our Galactus.
Yeah, she just keeps worlds.
I think I kept about 5 copies of it, so
there you go. Oh my God! You see the grin? You could see it from space, like a moon. So there's
yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Drew.
Yeah. So Ray, I did want to ask, because you've worked on Constantine, and there's an odd sort of occurrence that apparently happens with writers of Constantine, that there's this odd sort of tradition where writers have claimed to have met him.
Yeah, I know the tradition, and Cy Spurrier just sort of did a nod to it in his book, in his current Hellblazer run. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's because I wasn't aware of this, and I read it years ago, and I found it to be so amusing because I've met some of these writers, and I never thought, I was like, man, I should ask about it. It's just funny because some of them just seem very scary and non-approachable. Alan Moore, I was like, no. Yes, I would love to, but no. Brian Azzarello is the same way. I was like, it just seems like he's fine. But have you run into John at any point, or would you kind of just do what Azzarello did? He was just like, saw him, and he was like, nope.
I've definitely run into people who look like John and sound like John. I wouldn't say I've ever met anyone who claimed to be John.
Right. It's an odd question, but it was one of those where I was like, man, if there's any person,
it's more proof that we're living in a simulation.
I like to think that if I ever did come across John, if one of the people who seemed to look or sound like him was actually him, he would probably just tip a glass to me and move on. I would not want to be part of his world.
Nope. No, I think that's pretty much what any of the creators kind of felt. I was like, nope, just move on.
Yeah, I feel bad for the guy a lot of the time, actually.
Yeah. But good to know.
Jar Jar, you had a question?
Yeah. Joe, go,
Oh,
Joe.
I was wondering when you were doing these books for DC and stuff, did readers' feedback ever come into any play of your writing?
No.
No.
Man, he just deaded that. He's like, no.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, besides the logistical fact that there's a bit of a time lag, like I was usually writing things 3 months to 6 months before they showed up on the stands.
Oh, really?
So if I'm writing a 12-month book, I'm probably writing issue 12 when issue 6 is out on the stands. So by the time I'm hearing feedback, most of the story is done anyway. But also I personally, I don't believe I believe that that's part of the process of relating to your audience, but I don't believe that's part of the process of writing a book. I think that when an author feels like they have something to say, they should just say it, with as much, I'm going to say, determination or bravery as possible, and then afterwards engage with the way people read it.
Oh, I see.
I got a two-parter for you. Oh, sorry. Were you finished, Jar Jar?
Oh, no, go ahead, Leo.
No, I was just going to say I have a two-parter for you. One, are you currently reading anything or staying up to date with any storylines? And the second part is, what are some starter storylines you would recommend somebody to read to get into the darker side of comics? Be it your own writings or something you've really enjoyed.
Okay, well, first of all, I am reading Cy Spurrier's Hellblazer.
So good.
It's wonderful. It's fantastic, and I've always liked Cy's stuff, and it's lovely to read him working with a character that he's obviously so simpatico with, and that he's got a lot to say about. So it's really, really cool. It's great. I mean, it's maybe I'm recommending it a little early, but I read the preview, the first issue of Kieran Gillen and Casper Weingard's The Power Fantasy, which is on its way, and I think it's going to be huge. I think it's fantastic, and I already told Kieran he should just send me all the issues because I don't want to wait to read them.
Nice.
Yeah. And as far as starter stories to get into the darker stuff in comics, first of all, for superhero comics, I don't think you can do better than Alan Moore's Swamp Thing books.
Just about to say that.
The saga of the Swamp Thing, and starting at the beginning with the anatomy lesson, because it's not only I think is it a masterclass, it's incredible with the comic book form, but it's also one of the coolest stories I think I've ever read. And then with other sort of dark works, I mean, I really love Black Hole by Charles Burns. And let's see, what else? James Tynan's Department of Truth is really great. Actually, most of James Tynan's books, like The Nice House on the Lake, is spectacular. And so he's kind of the guy leading the horror charge in mainstream comics right now. So I would probably send people his way, and then tell them to pick my books up afterwards.
There you go. Oh yeah, trust me, Carrie is all about that. So
yeah. You're now in my top 3 for the horror, and that's you, Colin Bunn, and James.
Well, that's good company to be in. I think I'm the weirdo in that group. I think I'm the David Cronenberg in that group.
You're the free flower. Like everything you do rolls into each other. The scenes. When I was reading Underwinter and Underwinter: A Field of Feathers, you roll from scene to scene, and one person lights up a cigarette, and then it goes to the next group of people as they're getting their cigarette lit is one small example, but like, you know, you have somebody talking in a church and somebody talking at a crime scene, and it just all wraps in together.
Mhm.
And that's just glorious how much flow you have in your writing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I definitely I always aspire to. It sounds weird to describe it this way, but to make an interesting shape out of the stories, and you know, I love thinking of the story not just in the content of the story, but the structure of it as well, and that plays a part in it too. So, for instance, in the Underwinter books, when everything is very flowing and sort of merges from one thing to the next, it's meant to be very kind of dreamlike and nightmarish.
Oh yeah, that was just crazy. And I'm looking forward to reading more of that. Are you continuing with the Underwinter still? I know you put out one more after the Feathers, but you said it was going to be kind of its own world.
Yes, there is a plan for more.
Awesome.
Totally off topic and a little dorky, but you mentioned David Cronenberg. Are you by chance a Star Trek fan as well? Did you?
I have watched many a Star Trek.
Okay. Did you catch Discovery? He had a prominent role on Discovery.
I have not caught Discovery yet.
Okay.
He's in Discovery?
He's in Discovery, yeah. Yeah. And it turns out I don't want to spoil anything, but it turns out he has a larger role in the Star Trek universe. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. I love when he shows up anywhere.
Yeah.
He's a fellow Torontonian, and I love his work.
Nice. Yeah, you should definitely check out Discovery. It's weird for Star Trek because it's there's like an angel at one point, and yeah, it's a good series.
I'll check it out.
So I guess I have one of the last questions before we kind of wrap this up. So, I mean, Ray, you've been a fan, so now we're in a position where people would bring books of yours to get signed and whatnot, kind of geeking out. I'm sure that you've taken some photos with some Constantines or a Justice League Dark Group or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But did you have any creators that you yourself were like, oh my God, and you met and just had to get the stuff signed, and it was just stellar?
Yeah, I mean, I think I didn't get stuff signed so much. Though when I was much younger, actually, when I was a teenager, for me, that was John Toddleben. That was, and he came to Toronto a couple times at shows. So I got him to sign a few of my Swamp Things and Miracle Mans. Nice. So definitely, yeah. But I think the creator that I met, who I think I was the most maybe suppressing my actual reaction because I didn't want to freak them out, was Grant Morrison.
Wow.
Very cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so, I mean, Grant had a very profound impact on me when I was sort of starting to write and stuff. And I was, I'm pleased to have met them a couple times. So, yeah.
Yeah. Grant's been on my list for ages, but now I think I have to go to Morrison Con or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And then from the art side, I mean, the other person that I really kind of, I think, unabashedly geeked out over was Bill Sienkiewicz.
Well, nice.
And so I was lucky enough to get him on board to do some covers for Gotham at Midnight.
I was about to say, did you keep the work? Any art?
From Gotham by Midnight?
Well, yes. I mean, that or any of your work, comic wise. Some people they're like, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I have some. I mean, I have one of the Bill Sienkiewicz's covers for Gotham by Midnight. Nice. And I have things from here and there. I have a page from Pandora, and I have some pieces from Justice League Dark, and just things here and there. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Cool, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What's the best piece in your collection?
Let's see. My favorite piece in the collection is Dustin Yen gave me one of his Batman Eternal covers.
Whoa, yeah,
And it's the Spectre and Batman.
Oh,
right.
So
Very cool.
I adore it.
Oh yeah, and Dustin's artwork is amazing. So
Dustin's one of the best.
absolutely. All right, Leo, do you have any questions? Remember, this is kind of your move.
Yeah.
You're good.
Well, one thing we do try to ask everybody is besides your work, is there anything you dork out about? Like, do you love building models, or collect anything odd, or?
Yeah, I mean, I paint Warhammer figures.
Very cool.
Cool.
It's about as geeky as you can get. I love the Skitari, which are these little cyborg science warriors. You were gonna say something?
So, are you thrilled that Henry Cavill is kind of leading the charge for a Warhammer movie?
Well, sure. Why wouldn't I be? Yeah. So that's just something to do with my hands. That's not for work, And then I geek out about books. I geek out, I read as many books as I can get my hands on as often as possible, fiction, nonfiction. I just read a book that was absolutely incredible. Oh man, can you hold on a second? I'm going to run.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, do your thing.
Yeah, I want to know what it is.
Good job, Drew.
You are so predictable, Leo. Like, we should just do a Splash Pages bingo card. Because
Are you on Blue Sky?
Yeah. Right.
Hey,
Like,
there are some staples
Sky?
that you need to ask.
No. Are you? Yeah. Hold on.
I'm back.
Are you
Sorry about that. I just read. I'm gonna totally destroy his name, but I just read The Gone World by Tom Sweterlick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the coolest, darkest, weirdest books I've read in a long time. And it was because I was complaining to a friend that I didn't have any new horror books to read. And he recommended it to me, and it blew my mind. So I'm geeking out about that right now.
Gary,
Really
take.
cool.
I will hook you up, and I already wrote that one down. But when I send stuff to you, oh, dude, you have no idea. I'm all about the dark stuff. I have another show that's all about storytelling, or another network that's all about storytelling. And so I bring people on and interview them, and we do all these storytelling sessions. And yeah, everything I do is horror pretty much. So
Yep.
like, you need to read this, and this.
If you haven't read this, then give it a chance.
Oh,
She
yeah.
will.
Yeah.
I knew tonight was going to be Carrie's night.
Yeah.
Just like, I was doing my research. I'm just like, this guy seems like something Carrie would love to get a piece of.
Yeah, you knew Carrie was lighting a candle. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah. All right. Well, we come up about an hour. So Ray, thank you so much for spending the time with us. It was absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much. So kind of near the end, because I'm going to steal Leo's line now, because something no one expected. Leo. So are you going to any events, conventions, or anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of this month, I'm going to be at the San Diego Comic-Con.
Nice.
And then at the end of August, I'll be at Fan Expo Canada in Toronto.
Nice. And
That's why he's not at Terrific.
yeah, exactly. And then in terms of, if anybody wants to interact with you, like what's the best platforms or stuff like that? And because someone will ask me, are you on Blue Sky?
I'm not on Blue Sky. Actually, I'm pretty aggressively not on most social media.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram, where people can usually catch a look at pieces of art I'm working on and whatnot. And otherwise, you can usually find updates about me or reach me through my website, just rayfawkes.com. I turned my back on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff a while ago.
Good for you.
Smart man.
Yeah, I saw your last Twitter post was quite a while ago, which is smart. Like Twitter's a den of evil right now.
Those were not places that were bringing me any happiness.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah.
Well, Well, thank you so much for the time, Ray. We really appreciate it. And Leo, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you got it. You want to be the monkey behind the keyboard?
No, if I'm going to be playing, if there's anything with a keyboard, it's going to be Axel F or nothing at all. So, but no, seriously, Ray, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. And, please, you're welcome back anytime. And if there's anything that you're working on new, we would be more than glad to, post links, show the support. If you're working on any Kickstarters and stuff like that, we do that all the time. And,
Well, thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was wonderful to meet you.
Thank you.
I loved your brain.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ray, so much for your time this evening. And like I mentioned in the beginning, when you're ready, just hit the Leave Studio button on the bottom, and then it will prompt you for an uploads. And then if you have any issues with that, or if it errors out, just let us know, and I can send you a link after the show to finish up your upload.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Have a good night, man.
Bye now, then.
Bye.
Dun, dun. We need a goodbye song for people.
I know.
Goodbye, farewell.
I was just gonna say since we're sharing books, I just got this. This is the type of dorky stuff I read.
Avita saying good night. Yeah. Oh, are we showing books? Because I can.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, hold on. I'm rereading this from Stephen King because I have the sequel, so I have to reread this to be familiar. Wendy's Button Box by Stephen King. It's pretty good. It's pretty solid.
I had this come in a while ago, and I have to read it now.
Oh, from Tony Harris. Nice.
Yeah.
The Whistling Snow.
Oh,
and
this
Carrie,
is awesome.
I can't. And Carrie, you can just do the gesture towards your bookshelf, like, what am I reading?
Barker, Bradbury, Barker, Campbell, Blatty, Barker, Poe, Gaiman.
All right,
We
so
gotta get you a
Diamond,
digital
bottom.
subscription. Get you a digital subscription to some horror sites or something.
Listen, before we get to the news and stuff, I think one of the best things is watching when one of us obviously geeks out about the guest. So just watching Carrie's grin, the most she was like, "Yeah, the rest of you can leave. I'm good. I'm taking over this interview. This is me now. I've done the research. Y'all read one book." Like Carrie's like, "I've read all the books.
All the books."
Didn't even get into Sanction.
No, her face when he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll totally send you a copy." She was like, "I'm sorry, what?"
Right? That was great, though. That's fantastic. There you go. You can make a friend for life right there.
Yeah, you're in my top 3. Oh my god.
Yeah, right. Top 3.
Yeah, like that makes me want to quote Carrie's least favorite actor and just be like, it's high praise. But it's fine.
I do have to say a pretty dark thought entered my head when you were talking about body modifications, and somebody brought up actually I think it was you, Carrie. You mentioned tapeworms.
No, I think that was oh yeah. I think about a job.
Yeah. Do you know back in the day, totally off topic, but they used to use tapeworms as like a form of like a diet pill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would use
They still do.
Oh, they did
illegally.
They still use the piece of bacon to get it out. You lower a piece of bacon. You hold a piece of bacon.
Leo, I want to eat bacon again. Can you not tell me these things?
This is crazy.
No, in the new mod that he had, there were a lot of different organic things that were implanted. They had people who that was what they were. They were super, super gaunt and would have multiple tapeworm things buried in them. They had different creatures and micro creatures and stuff, but they weren't all tested well. So they had like the girl who he was saying was his favorite that was interviewing people was finding all of the things gone wrong. Like somebody's face had gotten destroyed because they hadn't tested the reaction between this and this as they go through. And some of the processes that people went through like caused serious injury. But the one that was the Junction True was to combine two people so that one was entirely dependent. They took out basically like all of his digestive tract and intestinal tract and stuff, and made it so that she had to eat and then plug into him, and he was required. He could only get nourishment from her. There was no way to replace it, really, or what. And you're linked to one person. You
Oh, Jesus.
can't unlink.
Wow.
So yeah,
But then-
it was super extreme, and like this guy was just enamored by this gal, and she's kind of a bitch, and she was like, "If you'll be my puppet, you can have me." And he agrees to it, and then she's just like, "Bored now."
Well, thank you, Carrie, because
So
I was hungry. Now I'm not. So thank you.
you're
Oh,
welcome.
can we start? Can we do the news, please? Because
Yeah, we
I'm
can.
spiraling.
Well, first, we need to start. I don't.
Just do it.
Well, no, it's not that.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Okay. Are we back?
We're back. I was waiting for Drew to say
I'm-
something.
No.
I'm having a
No.
short bit of lag going on, so I like saw Father Evil, and then it was like he didn't move. So
You saw Father Evil? He visited you?
yes,
He's very intimidating in person. I've met him, so I'll tell you
he
that.
hangs out in my closet.
He's very ominous. All right, Leo, do the thing.
Oh, okay.
All right, so this week we got Carrie doing Variant Watch.
Woohoo!
Yes. And again, I have some
Um,
lag, so if I get behind, just go ahead and keep rolling the covers. All right. So, just in case you haven't been following along, coming our way on August 21st is the 5-issue miniseries Wolverine Revenge. Jonathan Hickman, you might know him from Secret Wars, amongst many other titles, including his current run on The Ultimate Spider-Man. And Greg Capullo of Spawn Dark Metal fame are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Wolverine by bringing us a brutal batch of battles pitting Logan against some who have beaten him in the past as he seeks his revenge. Amongst his opponents are Sabretooth, Omega Red, Deadpool, imagine that, and he's going so full throttle on getting his revenge that there will also be a polybagged red band edition of the entire series. We've shown you some of the covers prior to this, but as they've all now been revealed, we're going to show them all again. There is the main cover by Greg Capullo, and basically the same cover with a little bit more blood is his red band cover. There is the Lionel. If you want to.
Let me go
Okay.
to the beginning. Okay, so here you go.
All right. Okay, so that is the main cover by Greg Capullo. The next one is Capullo's red band cover.
That is
Okay.
awesome.
What's different?
It's bloody.
Bloodier.
Bloody.
Yeah.
Back and to the left.
Yeah, you
Back.
see?
And I'm not. All right, and then
Okay.
there is the Lionel Francis Hugh cover, which I can't
Gorgeous.
see any of them moving, so let me know when they're to the next one.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is the Stanley Art Germ Lau cover.
Leo, move it.
There it is.
Nice. That's gorgeous.
All right, next we have Mark Brooks.
Yeah. That stacks up.
Wow.
Okay, there's John Gang.
Okay.
Our guest tonight would have made a great Wolverine.
I
His
kind of
face.
thought I thought he was be more of a dream from Sandman.
Oh,
There you go.
Continue, Carrie.
Next is the David Nakayama foil edition.
Ooh,
Wow.
okay. Nice.
We have Takashi Okazaki.
Nice. Look at that. That's beautiful.
Then we'll have the Pablo Villalobos.
hmm
The Saturday the Saturday morning cover is by Sean Galloway.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is the movie poster cover.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm still stuck way back, but all right. Okay. So yeah, those are all going to be coming out, like I said, on August 21st. And you just get all the covers you want because Logan's back. And
back again.
it's Red Band edition. There's been
Yeah.
Blood Hunt and this, we've gotten I don't think it's over the top gore really, but I guess it's all based on your definition. And I suppose I don't think with the mind of like a little kid picking this up might be slightly traumatized.
True.
Yeah, some of the red bands have been we talked about it before, but they've been pretty hot.
I guess. I don't know. I just feel like it's a so-so gimmick. It's just a little bit more for a little bit more violence and gore. I was like, okay, like hasn't anyone ever read a 90s comic? Like you got those for $1.95, my man.
Yeah.
Like
Find them in the 50-cent bins now.
Yeah, pretty much. So whatever. Carrie, I think there's more X-Men though. Am I right?
Oh yes, we have more Uncanny X-Men coming up. And Leo, as you're going through these, when it gets to the obvious Scott Koblish cover, pause. All right.
Okay,
Writer Gail Simone.
Drew, yell
No.
when that's.
I got
It's
you.
it's the combined one. Okay. Writer Gail Simone, known for her work on Birds of Prey and Batgirl, is joined by Ultimate Comics Spider-Man and Civil War II artist David Marquez in the latest Uncanny X-Men #1, bringing the X-Men out of the Krakoan era. Issue #1 will be available at your LCS on August 7th and will feature a multitude of variant covers for you to choose from. We start with the David Marquez cover.
Go back, Leo.
Go back.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
No. That one.
This one?
Okay.
That's the Marquez cover.
Okay. The one before this should be the Marquez cover.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
I
was moving over
okay.
to the next.
Okay.
Who's on first?
Well, I can't see because it's moving. Okay. So next we have Jim Lee's Hidden Gem variant cover, which is an homage to his Savage Land Rogue pinup from the 90s.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Followed by Luciano Vecchio.
Mm-hmm. That's
Little Rogue there.
Also gorgeous.
Next we have Lionel Francis Hughes cover.
Of course.
Always quality there. Followed by Andy Kubert.
Nice. Look at that.
Yeah, it was either Logan or Beast, so I'm like, Beast gets to show his face. We've seen enough Logan today. Next we have a Negative Space cover by John Tyler Christopher.
That's really cool.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of these lately. This one, she looks much more realistic than some other ones, so I think this one's got a little extra oomph.
Well,
next we have
Tyler Christopher does some really cool toy variants where like he did all like the Star Wars ones and stuff like that, where like they're very realistic. Really,
Nice.
realistic.
Okay.
That doesn't.
Yeah,
sound
some of
those.
those Star Wars ones, like the figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. I got a couple of those.
All right. So what's the next one, Carrie?
Next one is Pablo Villalobos Disco Dazzler cover.
Nice. Okay.
Next.
Whoa.
She looks like a poodle. I'm sorry. But she looks like a poodle.
And moving on.
Next we have the Mr. Garcine collage cover.
I like
Right.
that.
Oh, this is not a Where's Waldo cover?
No.
That's what I would use it.
Where's Wolvie?
Right there on
That's
the
what it
right hand side.
No, that's the game you need to play. Where's Wolvie? That's what they should have done. Like made, yeah.
But Leo, but if he's right there, he's on the right side. Right.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Well, whatever. Moving on.
You're not getting it. You're not
Okay.
getting it.
All right. So, and last but not least, Scott Koblish is releasing part 3 of his wraparound cover that's going for the Marvel universe in this thing. I went ahead and put up the part 3, and then we have done it before, so I just kind of grabbed those pictures again. But if you want to see, since we're looking at it, what the entire cover is, then kind of broken up into parts so that you can see what is being featured again. Since we're putting it up again, those are what I have left up there. So
Oh wow!
Damn.
it's super detailed.
How many issues is this?
3, 4.
4.
Is 4 different covers?
Yeah.
Yo, look at all of that. They're all there,
I need that as a poster.
right?
Well, you're just gonna have to buy all 4 issues.
No, they'll release it as a poster, but they'll probably charge like $45 or $50 for it.
And the frame will only cost you about $200, you know.
Hey, stop it. Stop it.
But yeah, so it's broken up into little bite-sized chunks so you can get close-ups. And that, folks, is the end of Variant Watch.
That is the end of Variant Watch.
All right. All right. No.
Well, before that, just speaking of variants, real quick, I do have 6 issues of Infinity Dime heading my way.
Nice.
Good for you, Leo.
Yeah, the last one was the Del Otto cover I won.
Oh, nice.
The last one.
Sweet.
Listen, that one's, for some reason, that one's selling up. So you hold on to that one. The price in that, for some reason, has been escalating recently.
Yeah, I put in a minimum bid and
Right.
I won it. Yeah.
Good for you, buddy.
Yeah, and the Peaches one I'm getting.
Are you going to bring one to get signed by Jason?
Maybe.
Yeah, you should. You should bring your one you like the best. Personally speaking, if it was me, I'd get the Alex Ross signed, but I'm a sucker for DuckTales.
Yeah,
Mm.
the Alex Ross one's nice.
Alex Ross, that, or I feel like Carrie would go with the Scotty Young.
Oh, that's another one I got, the Scotty Young one.
He'll be there,
Yeah.
I
right?
do like the
Yeah.
Scotty Young one.
Yeah, but if we all know which one we wouldn't get signed, or much less own. Right.
That one was in the pack.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe you can. Oh my God, yo! You know what, Carrie? You know what we should do? If we have somebody manning the booth, we should give that as like, congratulations for manning the booth for Splash Pages. Here's your copy of Infinity Dime, but it's the Frank Miller cover.
Oh,
right.
jeez.
Right? Who do
Yeah. So
Who don't we like enough to do that to? Here's a great book. The cover is meh. The cover is mid, as the kids would call it. All right.
Good
What
story,
else
though.
there?
Good story.
well, we have this.
Drew's News. Exciting tales, fresh comic views. In the pages, heroes fly, villains plot under the sky. From Gotham's dark to Metropolis views, we cover stories old and new. Drew's News, your daily source for comic clues. Join the fun, it's a heroic cruise in the world of Drew's comic news.
That was newsworthy. Hi, I'm Drew, and welcome to this very short edition of Drew's News. Leo, thank you. Starting up, news that there will be a documentary based on the legendary collaboration Kingdom Come by Alex Ross and Mark Waid, heading to San Diego Comic-Con this year. As we already know, the 4-issue 1986 miniseries, which for Splash Pages netted a all-around 5-star rating back when we were doing that, is getting a documentary charting its creation, and it's set to be this fall. So it's going to explore the behind the scenes of making the comic, its origins to its lasting relevance. The film will have more than 30 interviews for the documentary, which include Alex Ross and Mark Waid, who we are looking forward to meeting again at Terrificon this year, and then other collaborators and people in the industry, ranging from Spawn creator Todd McFarlane to Harley Quinn co-creator and famed Batman animated series writer Paul Dini, to even TV comics writers like Julie and Shauna Benson. So fans will find out more about this at a special panel that apparently Wade and Ross will both be attending there. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, there is a Kickstarter for it. The pre-Kickstarter launch page for The Legend of Kingdom Come is online. You can sign up for alerts for the film, and then when the crowdfunding campaign will go live later in 2024. But yeah, check this out. It sounds really awesome.
Very cool.
I like that we're getting an update so quickly about it too. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And if you need more Kingdom Come, Mark Waid recently did a update for it in his World's Finest.
Yeah, but that was more of a kind of like a sort of prequel. It's kind of like it's kind of within the same world, but not exactly. But it's still very much within the same spirit. I mean, I've read enough of to do the research, Leo. I've read more than enough interviews about it. So I was like, no, I understand now. Thank you, Mark. Now I'm going to cover a story that I really feel guilty covering because I really know someone else here really is excited for it.
Oh, who could that be?
Do 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 do. So.
How could it be now?
So Ghost Machine has revealed the covers for the upcoming horror comic, which is the intro to their horror universe, Hyde Street. So we've already saw earlier that this project by Jeff Johns and his frequent collaborator Ivan Rice revealed the cover for Hyde Street issue 1, which is a first issue of the monthly ongoing series. And then there's also a It Happened on Hyde Street Devour one-shot. So they debuts, we're looking into the spooky month, aka Carrie's favorite time of the year, October. Hyde Street issue 1 will be releasing on October 2nd, and What Happened on Hyde Street Devour issue 1 will be arriving on October 30th, aka Devil's Night, aka the eve of Halloween. They've already released the solicits for this, the story that's essentially a new epic in a character-centered horror. The synopsis goes, in every town and every city and every country road in Metropolis Ave, if you make a wrong turn in your soul, you might find yourself on Hyde Street. But be careful for who you talk to and what you do, because the consequences make death itself seem like the easy way. Introducing Mr. X-Ray, Pranky, the world's most dangerous scout, Ms. Goodbody, and many more, out to delight, fright, and say goodnight. What is their secret? And that of Hyde Street. Only they know, for now. So we've already seen Hyde Street issue 1. They did do a Hyde Street variant, which Carrie gladly owns. Cover A is by Ivan Rice. Geiger artist Gary Frank did the cover for cover B. Each cover has the mysterious Mr. X-Ray. Cover D comes from Mike Deodato, who we know from a lot of his Marvel work, which is its first variant cover. God, that's terrifying. Deodato also drew another Hyde Street character. Fun fact, he drew the character Pranky. So the still to be revealed is the covers by Batman and horror artist Kelly Jones, and another one by Ivan Reis. So again, October, for all of you looking forward to Halloween in these hot months, Hyde Street. So Carrie, I know you've already asked your LCS to book you for those.
Yes, I have.
Of course you did.
Oh, and yeah, the covers, the last part is the ones for It Came from Hyde Street, or It Happened on Hyde Street, Devour, that he was also talking about.
You know what? It's got, you know what the cover has? It has a Goosebumps cover vibe to it, you know? Like just simple image, but terrifying. Like, good Lord, that's terrifying. Oof. Wow.
I think Pranky the Boy Scout is going to be one of my new favorite people or creations.
That image.
That one right there. Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's a horror. That's a nightmare.
That's
Kind of reminds me of Slappy from the Goosebumps.
no, Alfred E. Newman. He's missing the front tooth.
Yeah.
And he's a ginger.
Yeah, whatever. All right.
Alfred E. Newman meets Chucky.
Yeah, pretty much. All right.
I'm sure it's happened before.
So I'm laying down, which means the news is over, and I'm getting ready to fall asleep, which means we got to end this show soon. So,
like right now or like 10 minutes?
Soon, he said. Just soon.
Leo, is there anything else that you wanted to cover before we were finished with the show tonight?
No. I did pull up pictures. Let me see if I can find them. Hold on. I saved them.
What do you got?
Oh yeah, here they are. How come they showed up here? Hold on.
God damn it, Jeremy. Fucking
Okay, so come on, present. Do. Okay, so I know we reported on Absolute DC in the past, but some pictures have been hitting the interwebs today about Absolute Batman. That's going to be debuting at San Diego Comic-Con as Ashcan. And Bleeding Cool released these images. I tried to find the original ones, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna wait till we see a really more official announcement. But I've heard about this, and essentially, it's the DC's version of the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
So could be pretty.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Well, yeah, but I know that they're testing the waters, of course, with their best one. So they're of course doing Batman first. It's the same way how when the Ultimate Universe was up, I was like, we're going to start with Spider-Man. We're going to go with our best. Then we'll.
Yeah, I mean it's what Nick Trigata and who else is working on it?
Come on, Leo. Who is it?
Come on.
Who could it be now?
Do.
I wish I knew another line of that song.
Scott
Wait,
Snyder.
who? Oh,
Scott Snyder's writing?
Scott Snyder's gonna do it? Man, that's gonna be great.
At least, yeah, Scott. Let's see. Scott Snyder's involvement.
I mean, if he's writing it, oh man, I mean, come on.
Yeah, so I guess Nick Trigata is doing the cover, but I think you're right. We need to wait for an actual official release, because these are like leaked images. So
yeah, it's always I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to get us in trouble. But what we can do is, Leo, you can start the countdown to wrap this turkey up.
Turkey to bed.
Yeah, did the little timer pop? The turkey timer? No. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. You know how to find me. Just Google me. But more importantly, follow these awesome people. Check out our YouTube page. We're going to be breaking 500 subscribers soon. So get on the train. It's taking off. But yeah, follow these awesome dudes and dudettes. And we'll kick it on over to Carrie.
Hey, everybody. Great show tonight. I've had so much fun. If you'd like to find more about me when I am not hanging out with these wonderful gents here over on Splash Pages, I am also over on the Owlite, which falls under the umbrella of the Dorkening. We do a lot of storytelling types of things there. And we have a book that just came out recently called The Owlite Menagerie. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on any of the stuff that I'm linked to. And all of the proceeds from the first year will be going to Pro Literacy, which is an adult literacy charity. Just look me up, Carrie Sanders, on Facebook. If you see a crow as the avatar, that is me, and all of my links to everything are there. So I'm easy. There you go.
Okay, Jar Jar.
Like a Sunday morning, you are, Carrie.
Yeah.
No, nobody gets. All right. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks, Ray Fawkes, for blessing us with his presence tonight. It was a great interview. Had a lot of fun. Check me out tomorrow night over on Still Token with the Dead at 7 p.m. on the Facebooks and the YouTubes. We are speaking to a guy who is an interviewer of the stars. So we're going to interview the interviewer. That's going to be riveting stuff. And
So who's going to be
terrific
interviewed?
Oh, God damn it. You want me to look up the name, don't you?
No. I mean, are you going to interview him or is he going to interview you?
Both.
Oh, well, hopefully both. Like,
it was a joke.
You know, I think there's some questions. All right, fine, Leo. I try to run.
You
with
can go super meta and be interviewed by the interviewer of the stars in your interview.
Yes. Wicked meta. I don't even know what meta is. I'm so out of the loop.
It's like quantum, man.
Oh boy.
Quantum realm.
Anyways, also follow me on Facebook and stuff like that. And over to you, Drew, because I know you want to go to bed.
Go to sleep and good night.
All of you, except Kit. She's the key. All right, listen, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, I'm so sorry, but I started getting real tuckered out, so I'm already laying down, which is a sign that this show is about to be ending. So thank you for joining. If you need to chat with any of us, you can look us up on Facebook. You can look me up on Facebook. Ghostbusterman 1984. That's my Instagram. There's a lot going on, and some really cool things coming up. So really, really excited as the year just keeps getting better and better, I guess, or I'm just getting more and more tired and I don't care anymore. Either way. And stay tuned because literally we are on the countdown to Terrificon. It is July, which means we are so much closer to August, aka when we'll be going to Terrificon, than we were in January, because that's how math and time works, kids. So stay tuned because we've got so much. And also, if you're going to be at Terrificon, I don't know, say hi. Let us know. We've never done a fan selfie before. That would be cool. I don't know. I'm tired. Go. We're done. Go. Find another show. Okay? Gosh.
With that, we'll catch you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.